And at that point, Kelly literally took off his jacket, said, "That's not what I'm here for," and handed it to Alex Gray. And I said, "That's what I'm here for." And I jumped in.
Yeah, well, Sean, welcome back to the Insiders podcast. It's myself, Matt, lone tonight as Darren is in Australia living it up for a few weeks. Everyone send him good vibes and send him good waves. I'm not on my own for long tonight. I have a very special guest. After having a discussion with Christian Bradley, he requested I get this core lord to talk to us. And after a few messages that were reciprocated very, very well, luckily for me, I'm joined by a North Shore legend, a surfing legend worldwide, and someone that I found incredibly insightful and learned a lot from just from a half an hour chat, which I'm about to bring you. Joining the podcast tonight is legendary Dave Wassel. Here he is chatting with me. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Insiders podcast. We're back again. I'm honoured to be joined by Dave Wassel, a hero and someone that I know that Darren and myself have always looked up to. So thanks for joining us, Dave.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So good. So right now you're in Hawaii?
Yes, sir.
And how's it over there?
It's about 7 a.m. in the morning. I think 12 hours difference for you guys. It's windy.
Right. Yeah. So most people that listen to this would have probably just seen the pipe comp that's just run and seen that the waves at pipe were pretty lackluster. Have you been managing to surf elsewhere?
Yes. We'll keep it
at secret spots or anywhere we'd know?
There's it's an island. There's good waves everywhere. The swells come from different angles, and right now it's more of a easterly component. So there's good waves. It's windy, but if you find, as you would know up in Europe, there's slabs that can handle wind. So there's fun surfing. Yeah.
Good. If you know where to go, you'll get a wave. That's always the case. So obviously you're from my kind of knowledge of yourself. I see a lot of you at Pipe. See some clips of you recently. What was your kind of? Do you think it's been a bit unlucky with what the WSL, because they've come in for some flack, they've come in some heat with the competition, but do you think they've got really unlucky? Because usually it's kind of good this time of year, right?
It's the weather. That's all it is. So when we get this high pressure that sits on us, and what nobody looks at, they'll look a week out, 10 days out, and say, "Oh, look at that storm coming off Japan," but they don't look at the local weather in Hawaii, and that can be the same at any spot. So when we have a high pressure sitting on Hawaii, what that is if you're looking at a screen, it's going from the left, from the right across the island chain to the left. And it's blowing a gale on us right now, which you saw during the event. It was windy. That blocks any of those swells coming from Japan. And those are the westerly swells that light up the reef, that pipeline. And they'll just ping pong off it, go up to the Aleutians and come around, regenerate, get down into that wind pattern and come back as a north swell. And you get these sweeping rights across the reef. It's a lot smaller, but that usually will direct that swell over to California. So places like Mavericks and whatnot will get more of the swell. And that's how that works. I don't know why people don't pay attention to that. But, when you're dealing with the 12-day waiting period, you can't choose. In fact, during the third day of the event, which happened on Tuesday, the waves were actually quite good. Not for Kelly's heat, and that was just the bottom out of the tide. And people say, "Oh, 2 feet of tide don't matter." Well, the waves went completely flat. Nothing even broke. And as soon as the horn sounded and his heat was over, it was pumping 6 foot, what we would call 6 foot, double overhead. Guys are getting thrown. Guys are getting blown out of barrels. I mean, it was incredible. And I think Kelly saw that. Probably resonates with him more than anybody, but not the way he wanted to start his season. But, that's the way the cookie crumbles. It is the weather.
Yeah.
So it's unlucky. That contest, February waiting period, is usually the best.
Yeah,
that's when the Vulcan was. So
so that's exactly what I kind of felt. I felt like they were a bit unlucky. I mean, you always see it. that for years now we've all witnessed that the Hui shootout gets absolutely pumping conditions, and then pipe would have been like 3 or 4 weeks before, and people would have been moaning about it. And last year was all time conditions, and then this year obviously it kind of, yeah, I mean, it sucked, and that's not throwing shade at WSL. It's just you hype up yourself. I mean, I do hype up myself to see pipe, and you want pipe to be what pipe is, and then you don't want to see the competition run and winners crowned as such in those conditions. But that's competition surfing with waiting periods, isn't it?
That is, and there's a mathematical equation, if you would, about running an event. Nobody remembers the first couple days. They only remember the last day. And so you always want to finish strong. Now, the Hui Backdoor shootout, to be honest with you, I was there every day working. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Very honest. You're going to see the highlights and be like, oh man, it was firing. It really wasn't that good. Just pipe has not been having its best moment this year. It's a fickle one. So, a lot of sand has been building up on the reef. The swells haven't been that west. It's just the way it is. So there was good moments, definitely better in the backdoor shootout than in the pipe contest. But if they finished on that Tuesday instead of Wednesday in the pipe contest, everybody would have been a lot different tone.
Yeah, especially when like you saw the John heat where he gets like 19 points. It can't have been that bad.
There you go. There's a contest, right?
Yeah. So can I ask you then, because that was actually one of my next questions, was about the Hui shootout. Because you're right. I'm one of those weirdos who watches the live feed for like 9 hours straight, and there were long periods. I mean, like Kelly's first heat, he didn't catch a wave, which is quite rare for Kelly, and there were long periods where it wasn't amazing. Obviously, that event was known for some crazy wipeouts and some crazy injuries. When you say you were you working lifeguard? Because you're obviously you're a lifeguard
in the towers.
So so for yourself, was that maybe I'd say the busiest or the worst competition you've overseen in terms of what went down? Because there was obviously some heavy wipeouts.
As far as the surfers are concerned, yes, that was it was very busy. And you say, yeah, there was tremendous wipeouts, the tremendous waves, but there was tremendous rescues done by the Hawaiian Water Patrol.
You're right.
This is an entity that's hired through events to cover the surfers. We're basically on the beach to cover the public, and then when the surfer is brought in by Water Patrol, we will assist in stabilizing that person and getting EMS, fire, ambulance on the scene as quick as possible to stabilize the patient. That's our whole thing. So there was 2 really dramatic rescues. One with Billy Kemper that was done with Mr. Froyseth from the west side. Also, Mr. Nolan Kealana was able to grab Kalak Grace.
Yeah.
These are 2 gentlemen from the West Side whose names are synonymous with the West Side since the beginning of surf over there. And for them to do what they did and maintain a limp, lifeless body in that kind of conditions, I'm hugging them every time I see them, telling them they're the greatest humans on earth. That was amazing.
Yeah,
that is the task, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for kind of grabbing me on that as well, because you are 100% right. As good as the event was and as good as the surfers were, that the unsung hero of the lifeguard, when they pulled Billy, when they pulled Kala, and when you see it every time as well, it's sometimes more focus should be on that. And actually, again, kind of goes hand in hand to a point of a question that I wanted to ask you maybe a bit further along. But Luke Shepardson obviously just took out the Eddie, which I wanted to ask as a lifeguard, not being represented by him, but almost like, one of your own going to win it. But also at the same time, the people that saved Billy and Kala, and even did Makua get pulled as well? Did he get?
Yeah, he had a knee injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost it's almost crazy that, like you say, and you're so right to pull me on it, is we celebrate Luke Shepardson winning the Eddie, and we so should. But at the same time, the people that saved Kalara and Billy, they should have been, maybe to them, they're just doing their job. But then so's Kelly when he gets a perfect 20. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yes, yes, yes. And it's sometimes it's overlooked. Not in my eyes. Every single moment I see those guys, I tell them how proud I am. And we're not doing this for thank yous.
No.
Nobody does the job to be thanked, but it is nice to hear. I'm sure they I get in return of right on. We appreciate that, but
Mm.
it's just what it is. Like you said, it's a job. It's not in the end. Do we get a six-figure contract? No, we're not, or a title.
Yeah.
We're not, but that's not why we do it. It's a good thing. And as far as Luke Shepardson, yeah, he's making us all look good. Trust me,
Yeah.
he's making us all look good. But then again, so is the Hawaiian Water Patrol. So
Yeah.
this is not, everybody thinks about this whole life-saving thing. And I'm not going to make this about life-saving. Eddie Aikau, he's this one man who did this whole job by himself. Things have changed. Here in
Mm.
Hawaii, we have 10 million visitors a year. It wasn't like that in the 70s. And that equates to between 28,000 and 32,000 people a day arriving on our shores. And everybody's here coming to see the surf. So it's busy. And what you're seeing with these rescues are the world's best. So now you take people without that skill level and throw them on the beach, and it's busy there too. Oh, we're
Mm.
just going to catch a few waves. We're going to go pipeline and sit and just catch small ones. People don't understand that's not how it works. You are going to be faced with the biggest wave.
Yeah.
Luke Shepardson, great proof of that. He went out there, and the biggest waves in the world came right to him.
Yeah. And then crazily, or not crazily as such, went straight back to work to finish his shift for that day, which is just so, for me, that's so cool. That's so cool. Like, it's almost like, yeah, no water off my back. I'm going to go and make sure everyone gets home safe, which is like, it's almost like for me, it almost comes across like a bit like an army mentality. And again, I've not been in the army, but if you're in a situation in the army where you go in and you rescue someone that needed rescuing, you don't then come out and celebrate. You don't claim that. You're still switched on. You're back to what your patrol or what you needed to do, because you never know what's around the corner. And I thought that was really cool what Luke done. But I was so stoked that he won. And I hope that
Yeah,
I hope that,
storybook.
yeah. And do you feel like that was almost like a win for the lifeguards as well?
Like I said, he's making us all look good. This
Yeah.
is amazing. This is there. You couldn't script a better story. People would love to come up with this. Luke's background, where he's from, how he's been raised, how he is so calm, cool, and collective. His Instagram's casual Luke. This is like a thing for him. He's just mellow, and which is great to have in the tower. You don't want somebody who's flying off the handle. But when he went out to surf, because I was working with him in the tower that day, we'd all got switched to Waimea because he was actually in the event. Myself, I was just a alternate this year.
Yeah.
And so there is a chance you're going to surf in it. We're going to move you there. So, I tried to just get the day off because I don't want to work there on that day. I in the 2016 event when I surfed the Eddie, I looked at how stressful the day was for the lifeguards and the water patrol. I didn't want anything to do with it. It's hard because you're just trying to focus on the event. And the funny thing is, Luke said to me, just prior to his heat, he said, I can't wait to go out and surf and just leave this all behind.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go out 50-foot waves and relax because it was very stressful. I'm sure he wasn't totally casual out there as well, but looking at it, he looked very casual. But I'm sure the interesting thing about Waimea, it's like an amphitheater, the way that the whole
Mm.
valley walls reach out, and the screams and the yells from the beach you could hear, and they resonate through your body as you're in the lineup. And the interesting thing is the screams are louder when somebody wipes out rather than somebody getting a successful ride.
Yeah.
That's the mentality of the public. So it's an interesting thing.
it is a bit of a strange one when you do watch it and you're kind of like, yeah, you celebrate someone completely risking their life like for that. But that again, you say about him going out and relaxing. So I wanted to talk to you about something in particular, which is something that it's that Cloudbreak wave that you got,
Mhm.
because that to me blew my mind. How was your state of mind kind of in the lineup and when you're going a million miles an hour down that thing as well?
So I was set there just to commentate the event. I actually told I was surfing for Volcom and they said, "Hey, we want you to come down and commentate this event." And I said, "No." I said, "It's my child's birthday during that time frame. I'm going to miss out on lifeguarding work. So there's paychecks gone." And they're like, "Yeah, but this is a free trip to Fiji. Who's going to turn down a free?" I said, "Me. I'm going to turn it down. I've already been there 15 times with you guys. There's absolutely no way." And they were baffled. They're like, this doesn't make sense." I said, "Well, there's going to be also the world's best there, scratching for every single wave, practicing for the event. I'm not even going to be able to surf. I'm not going to be able to catch a wave. Forget it. Get somebody else." And so they countered back with an offer. "Okay, you're gonna, here's this to represent what you're losing out on, and blah blah blah." So it worked out in the end. Okay, I'll go. Reluctantly, I didn't even take a surfboard. And then when I arrived, this swell popped up in the distance, and Mark Healy called me from Hawaii and said, "You got to find us accommodations on the island. We're all coming." Who's everybody? Everybody who has a 10-foot board and a large sack is on their way to surf these waves. Have you seen it? I said, "No, I didn't even look." He said, "Well, we're all coming." And I said, "Okay, well, this island's full. You're gonna have to book yourselves on the mainland and come out by boat, but bring me aboard." He said, "No way." I said, "Come on, it's already packed." At that time, I had a board in a board bag and fins and wetsuit and a blow up vest, that whole thing, um, already packed away, and just in case of these situations. And so I had a friend meet Mark at the airport, hand him the board, he put it in reluctantly. And when it came time, that swell, there was a lot of hype around it, and a lot of people were, "What do you think? What do you know?" And I said, "I don't know. We'll just wait till that day." And sure enough, it showed up. And so did the entire world. The best big wave surfers in the world were there. And they put me in the booth to commentate it. And I seriously I watched, just as the rest of the world did, the best big wave surfing the world has ever seen. Yes, places like Peahi, they're big and beautiful, and Mavericks has its own, unique, terrifying moments, but they're not long and perfect like something you draw in a school book. And what were some of those waves were like 50 feet. It was, and maybe 40 feet wide. It was preposterous and going for 500 yards. It was amazing. So I witnessed, just as you did, the best surfing, but at the same time, I was there. So when the
Yeah.
time came, I was able to jump on a boat with Kelly Slater and Alex Gray and go out and catch one wave. And it wasn't, I had watched so much of it that all the butterflies were gone. Where usually you're kind of excited and nervous, and you get the sensation of, but it's a good thing. Like, I'm using this to fire me up. Where I got out there and I was just like, I'm just going to go catch a couple waves. I've already seen the lines that were drawn. I saw the right way to do it, and I saw the wrong way to do it. This is what I'm going to do. And I grabbed this big 10'2" yellow board, looked like a banana, and I a leash in it, some fins, and paddled out. And right when we hit the lineup, the biggest waves anybody ever saw of that whole session rolled down the reef. And the noise that it was making, and what was really interesting was it was detonating on the reef so hard that out of the back of the wave, it was blowing out chunks of coral, sand, and seaweed, and the smell that was in the lineup. So you hear people screaming, you hear the wave roaring, but the scent being shot out the back was just, it was so different, so weird. So all of your senses are just lit on fire, and it was just, visual, audio, and an aromatic, just really weird situation. And at that point, Kelly literally took off his jacket, said, "That's not what I'm here for," and handed it to Alex Gray. And I said, "That's what I'm here for." And I jumped in thinking that's my, I'm here to catch one wave, and that's what it's going to look like. So
Yeah.
as I paddled out The lineup, there was 10 guys sitting, I'd surfed there a bunch prior. I know where to sit, or I dove the reef a lot. I know what the lineups are, and got there, and there's 10 people. And I went down the line and shook everybody's hand and told them the rides that they got and how amazing they'd been surfing. And as I got to the last guy, all of a sudden I was in pole position for the next wave. And a set popped up and it came in, and everybody yelled, "Go Wassel." Now, I'm one of those people who refuses to paddle out and take the first wave. That's just not what you do. I'm surfing the North Shore, then you would get, the way things are different now, but back then, if you even looked at the wrong wave, it's different.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'll wait. I literally said that, and they screamed, "No, go." And I spun around and went. And supposedly people are saying that's a good wave. Whatever. It's just a wave. I paddled, I stood up. That's all I did. The wave did all the work. But it ended up getting a lot of accolades. I don't really remember much of it. I'm terrified of heights, so I don't remember. I remember looking down and blacking out. That's what I know. I'm vertical, I'm becoming disconnected, and it's okay, it's a blank. And then all of a sudden I snap back coming out. So Kai
That's
Garcia
crazy.
picked jet ski and told me, "You're done." And I said, no, there's no way. It's, yeah, like you said, I guess you remember it. I wish I could remember it. I remember the things that I have now because of it. The comments that people say help bring me back to that time. But I was just out there to catch a wave. That's all. That's honestly it.
And you got it.
Apparently so. From what people are saying,
Yeah. Well, I wasn't there, but from what I've seen, it was documented, and it's an incredible wave, and that story is just so eye-opening to someone like myself who, I'm from the south coast of England, and I've been around Europe and I've been to Australia and places, but I've never been anywhere even close to a situation where there's waves that big, and the sensations that you get, or the smells and the sights and the noises, and it's just kind of eye-opening to me. And it's a great story, and obviously, yeah, it was a great wave from everything that we've seen, and it's sick, and it's quite interesting, like you say, about not remembering it or only remembering parts of it, because often other things in life and events are similar to that, which is good. I wish Darren was here, because he surfed Lenore in France a lot. It's kind of like his spot, and he fully sends it, and I'm sure he would be able to probably share a little bit more of the sensation with you than I can, unfortunately. But that is an amazing story. And look, I don't want to take up heaps of your time, but at the same time, I don't want to put a little downer on this. But there is something. You ride for Volcom. You're obviously involved in Volcom. There's been some very sad news in the last kind of 2 days with Larry Haynes, and I just wondered if you had any kind of story or anything that you'd like to comment on that about, just because he's someone that I've massively looked up to as a follower of his, and it's kind of a bit of a shocking news.
So as far as a work ethic, there's never anybody who's ever been more devoted to his craft, whether it was anywhere in the world. So everything you see that you've seen on TV, whether it's a pipeline event, whether it's a Jaws event, Larry is there. He refuses to get out of the water. He loves being in the impact zone, just loves it. He doesn't care. He will take 20 footers on the head just to get the shot. And he refuses to come in to eat. He'll have to come in to change a battery, but he'll go right back out and just have people send out food to him because he doesn't want to miss a moment. I was getting screamed at I was commentating an event at Jaws and I have this battery pack on my back, and that's not about me. This is about Larry, but they're screaming in my ear, "You got to turn your battery pack towards the shore so that the radio signal and antenna will pick up." But I can't do that and be in front of a wave, because Larry refused to turn and shoot me. He had to shoot the surf. And he's just like, no, forget that. I don't care about them. This is my job. But he was so fixated on it. He loved the ocean. And the one good thing that's coming out right now, and everybody's extremely sad. This is really, really a huge loss on many levels. And it feels, for everybody, especially his family. We love you guys. Our hearts go out to you. But the one good thing that's going on is there's such amazing stories coming out, and everybody had something great to say about him. And this will go on for a long time. I'm not saying this is really fresh, and I'm sorry to be even talking about it, but he is everybody's hero. And it's just one of those things where he always had a smile, he always had something good to say, but it was always, I got to get back out there. Whether it was on his free time. I mean, he came in from stand-up paddling. He spent every single moment in the water giving you all those shots of everybody from Chris Moore to Jack Robinson winning that pipe contest. Came in, had a good time. The next day went out and stand-up paddled Laniakea, pumping all day, and at the end of the day came in, got to his car, and for whatever reason, a higher power said that it's your time, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
It was from what I understand, fairly quick, and so that was that.
Well, thank you very much for sharing, because obviously, yeah, it's still super fresh. It's heavy. It's like it's kind of hit everybody, and as it would, because he like kind of was respected and loved by everybody, and there are some great stories coming out. So
this is not that happens overnight. He's everybody has some big stories.
Yeah, but thanks so much for sharing, because I know that can be kind of heavy. So thanks very much. Moving on, and one thing that we always do on our podcast, and this is something where I really wanted to ask you and give you enough time. One thing we do on every single episode is ask a guest a do and a don't for surfing. And the fact that you probably witness some of the greatest don'ts, being in your position, one in Hawaii, two as a lifeguard, but also as someone who surfs and has surfed some of the best waves in the world. What I'd like to ask is, is there any advice that you'd give to listeners of like a do, so something like a little tip that could help them out, and then a don't, again, as a tip to kind of keep them safe or make their experience better?
Sure. Do set goals for yourself. If this is regarding surfing, I don't care if it's surfing or life, do set yourself a goal. Set it in 3 to 5 years. This is not something I saw on cable or YouTube. I'm going to go out and surf pipeline. It took me a decade before I even went out there on a small day, head high, maybe a couple feet overhead. Work your way up, okay? And that's what you need to do. Don't go traveling, whether it's Hawaii or anywhere else, and think that you're bigger and better. It's okay to take a deep breath and smell the clean air, but blow it out. Because if you walk around with that puffed up chest, you're not going to be received well. Remember that whether it's, you go anywhere in the world, Hawaii, Indonesia, Australia, the UK, okay, you're walking into somebody else's house. You really are. So make sure in your mindset, you realize that it's as if they're walking into your house. What would you like them to do? Be respectful, please, thank you, that kind of stuff. I understand we all have busy times in our lives, and maybe this whole vacation we saved up all year is going to be for 1 week. You still have to put yourself in check. So just realize that you're in somebody else's home and have a little bit of common decency. Otherwise, who knows? Your vacation might have a different turn.
That's amazing. That's actually the analogy of smell the air and let it out with the puffed up chest. That really hits. So that's really cool. The other thing that's quite like ironic with that is someone in your position, maybe, is probably a final question I'll just ask you is, have you ever seen it, or maybe have it personally with yourself, where you may have been off duty and someone gives you attitude, or someone gives you kind of like drops in on you, or has that puffed up chest and then needs your assistance?
If I wish that I could institute something into law where where yeah, we get maybe 2% of a person's check for the rest of their life. That somebody you've said, hey, that's not a good idea. Don't do that. Then they have to be rescued once, sometimes even twice. And now they're still contributing to society. Like it's mind blowing the ego that we all possess. We all
Yeah.
have it. Uh, but it's at times it's best if you just check it at the door and just leave it aside because that's what's going to get you in trouble. Everybody has these ideas in their head that they're better than they are. You know, if you and here's a real common one. Go to a ski slope. You're going to see a kid who's born and raised there ripping down this double black diamond, right? And then if you come to the North Shore, which all beaches in the winter are double black diamonds, you're going to see some kid who's in that environment and just making it look easy. Don't think you are that good.
No.
It's
Yeah.
just the way it is. And that's the only, I think, the easiest relation between the ocean and what these people are seeing is give them a snow background. It's I don't know anything else because they don't understand the power, the volume of water, right? Say one wave. It's been said that a one wave at pipeline, a proper wave, has enough energy to light up the city of Honolulu for an entire night. Okay. Put yourself in that impact zone. Now all of a sudden that thing hits you, it's lights out. But so, oh, we're not going out there. Oh, we're going to sit on the side. Oh, we're just going to get our feet wet. Doesn't matter. When you go out into the ocean, if you surf, you know that you're going to be faced with the biggest wave. It doesn't, they swing around. They're not always in the same spot. The
Yeah.
ocean's moving. There's millions of gallons of water. Also, it's rushing up the beach. It can easily grab you, especially a child, and sweep them out. We've had days where children have disappeared. It's a
Yeah.
terrible day for everybody. So let's just let's focus on just being normal people with common sense
Yeah, 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 exactly.
and
And that's it.
together.
The great humbler is nature, whether it's the ocean or a river or snow, like you say. There's nothing there's nothing to check an ego or humble someone um than getting that kind of in England we call it a little bit of a chin check. So well, some
Oh,
people in English
absolutely.
don't. Yeah, there's nothing like getting a Mother Nature giving you a little check to say, hold on a minute, watch yourself, kind of thing. But hey, Dave, um, I thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being so flexible and jumping on before you've got work as well. I'm gonna let you go now because I know you've probably got a busy day and better things to do than to talk to me. But again, hugely appreciate your time and your thoughts and yeah, big fans. Keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully we'll talk again sometime.
Fantastic. Thank you. And thanks for Mother Nature for giving us those chin checks and putting us in our place and we're still smiling. So thank you.
No problem. Have a great weekend.
Okay. I appreciate it. Aloha.
Take care. Aloha.